if Trey Lance doesn't pan out for the 49ers, that's going to be looked at as one of the worst trades in NFL history. They traded 3 first-round picks to move up to number 3 to go and get Trey Lance. Those first-round picks became Micah Parsons, Cole Strange, and Brian Breesy. And the Dolphins used those picks that the 49ers gave them to trade for Tyreek Hill and to draft Jalen Waddle and to trade for Bradley Chubb.
Remember the 10 picks after Trey Lance, too. And now, I was a Trey Lance supporter coming out of college, but those guys were Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Penei Sewell, J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, Devonta Smith, Justin Fields, Micah Parsons, and Rashawn Slater. So when you look at how stacked that draft class was, to go all the way in and you completely strike out, you get hit in the face, you break your nose potentially, it's remarkable they're as good a team as they are now, but that does set them back. It's an absolute shame because now you're going to look at Brock, and I'm not the biggest Brock Purdy believer, but you're looking at him similar to Jimmy Garoppolo once he gets off that rookie deal. So it's a tough spot right now.
That's actually nuts that they traded all that for Trey Lance. I mean, that's a lot of great players, man.
Yeah.
I don't know who they would have got if they would have just sat, because I feel like some of those guys like Chase Waddle were still going that high.
Chase with Brendan Ayuk and Debo and Kittle.
Michael Parsons would probably still go before. But I think, like, missing out on – because Trey Lance would have probably took one of their spots. So missing out on one of those players is tough. You hate to see it. I mean, luckily for the Niners, Shanahan's a genius. They still got Kittle. They still got Debo, Brandon Ayuk. They do well in that department. Defensively, they're still elite. So they're still going to be a great team regardless of their quarterback. But you hate the fact that you kind of whiffed on – potentially Trey Lance, and that does suck because not only did you not get the chance to groom him into the quarterback you want him to be, he hasn't been playing enough because he's been injured in the season. So you definitely hate that for both parties because Trey Lance's career never really got to take off.
I don't blame San Francisco either. Like, they can't control that nasty ankle injury. They did the right thing. They can develop quarterbacks. There's just so many variables that go into it every single time you draft one that a lot of it is out of your control. And so I kind of feel bad for them in some ways, but
I mean, if your quarterback stinks in training camp, that's
right. But to me, a lot of it is lack of reps and confidence, where he's overthinking. He's not dialed in. He's not reacting to.
I mean, based off his like in his preseason, he held the ball too long, cost him a couple sacks. Those drop interceptions were literally on him. He's reading the field wrong. Like, a lot of it, you could say, like, people were saying, add context, the offensive line was bad. Well, 2 of the sacks was his fault. He held the ball too long. There were plays that he could have easily made, dink and dunk plays. He just refused to make the play. Even one play, I remember the commentator was talking about, he had it, and he just pulled it back and just didn't pull the trigger. It resulted in the sack. So it's like, you can add the context, but I feel like for Trey Lance's preseason, the context really doesn't matter because a lot of the stuff he was doing was literally on him.
And there's a double standard that exists for
If you bring up Zach Wilson,
there's a ton of excuses that is being made for Trey Lance right now. I'm not even gonna bring up Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson won't be brought up on this show not even one time outside of what I just named right now. Listen, Trey Lance in preseason wasn't good. The stats, the box score stats will fool you. He had a touchdown. One of those touchdowns was supposed to be an interception, but Duke Shelley dropped it. I mean, Trey Lance threw it right to him. And then that 2-minute drive that people saw some flashes of good stuff from Lance, he threw a potential interception that wasn't caught. It was right in the corner. It was right in the corner's hands. So Trey Lance,
even his TD was,
the touchdown wasn't even real touchdown to me. Trey Lance was holding on to the ball for too long, like you mentioned. He was taking sacks. He was making poor reads. And there were plays that the Niners dialed up that were open that Trey Lance wasn't pulling the trigger on. Now, can you say, well, listen, those mistakes are fixable? Yeah, they are fixable. I don't think it's the end of the world, but you have to see improvement. And I think at this point in time, the Niners have seen Trey Lance his entire rookie season in training camp and practice. They seen him in his second year in training camp. It was unfortunate he got injured, but when you could say, Trey Lance was robbed of an opportunity, but I could also say, was he really? Because if he was truly winning the quarterback battle heads and shoulders, he was head and shoulders above Darnold and Brock Purdy, which given what they traded and where they selected him at the 3rd overall pick, he should be, then I don't think Shanahan would have a problem starting Lance. The reason he has a problem starting Lance is because Lance is not completing these simple things within the offense that Shanahan expects. It's not even a hard play. I mean, he expects you to make those plays. There are quarterbacks drafted into situations where they have horrible head coaches, a bad offensive line, bad receivers, bad running game, and they're forced to carry an offense while also adjusting to the NFL game. I think those players have had less of an opportunity than Trey Lance. And this excuse that gets used for Trey Lance, like reps, Jordan Love is the perfect example that I want to compare Lance to, because Jordan Love, last time he played a full season of football was 2019. 2020, 2021, and 2022, he did not play. He did not have those reps that we're saying Trey Lance didn't have. Yes, a season wasn't taken away due to injury, but Jordan Love didn't have those reps. But every step and direction you've seen Jordan Love play, when it was his first start against Casey and he didn't play so well because Chris Jones came back, and that's when the defense truly turned around. They called him a bust off that one game. You know, if Jordan Love makes a mistake, if he doesn't play well in preseason, we're saying Jordan Love is not good. We're not saying he needs reps. We're saying he's just not good. So, but for some reason with Trey Lance, if he's bad, if he's playing bad, it's because of the reps. Nobody ever comes to the conclusion that maybe he's just not a good quarterback.
I see what you're doing here. And for one, you're right. Jordan Love has gotten better over his couple of years in the NFL. That being said, Trey Lance, in 3 years of college football, threw a total of 318 passes. Jordan Love started 3 years of college and tripled that. I mean, his junior year, he plays one game because of the pandemic. His freshman year, he's sitting. I don't really blame Lance for that. Like, for context, Jordan Love had nearly triple the amount of attempts as Trey Lance did in school, so it is a reps thing. Like, that is insane to think about. He played one year of football as a starting quarterback.
If you got it, you got it. Listen, if you got it, you got it.
Anthony Richardson started 1 year as a quarterback in college, transitioning to a quarterback, and he's starting week 1. The Colts have seen enough to say, you know what, you're starting week 1.
I think the injury thing is something we need to like key in on, because a lot of times when you get a quarterback, you draft a quarterback, you get his first year to kind of evaluate. Year 2, you want to see the improvements, and the year 3 is like same thing for Justin Fields. You know, first year, whatever. Second year, you saw the modest improvements. Now year 3 is like, okay, this is the make or break here. Let's see what you have. The problem with Lance is his rookie year, you saw a little bit. Year 2, he got hurt, so he didn't have the modest improvement year. Now year 3, you're stuck because you had another quarterback who kind of made the simple reads, the simple plays, and they were winning. The locker room was behind them. Shanahan loves them. And now you're sitting here like, well, damn, this is my year 3. I'm on a playoff team, a team that can potentially win the Super Bowl, and they don't have time to really give me reps to really make mistakes or make errors. So now you're stuck in a reality. Now it's not a poor situation for a quarterback, but you're stuck in a poor situation for you, because you need the reps. You need time. You need the ability to make mistakes. Same thing for like rookies in the NBA. Like, for example, Kuminga, Moody, the young boys in Golden State, they never had the opportunity to get those reps because Steve Kerr pulls them. He doesn't have time for failures. He doesn't have time for making the wrong reads and all that stuff because they're in a playoff championship winning mode. Same thing with Trey Lance. So it's like, is this the situation for him at this point? Probably not. Will he ever get to show it for the Niners? Not likely, unless Brock Purdy's dog shit. But then Kyle Shanahan's going to be sitting there like, if Purdy's not good, how confident are we that we can just put Lance in and he automatically gets his wins in the middle of the season in a conference where you have the heavy Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys, who are teams that can legitimately beat you?
Seahawks too.
They're
coming.
Not to mention this. You mentioned a great point. The NFL is not a place to just get reps as a starter. If you get drafted to a bad team, then it makes sense. But you want to know what's the counterpoint to that? If we're saying right now Trey Lance is still raw after being in the NFL for 3 years, and you know there are other ways to get better, studying the playbook, learning the offense, being great in practice. There are other ways to showcase yourself, and he hasn't showcased himself yet. And the coaches, I mean, how they speak about him showcases that he really hasn't been impressing them all that much. But with that being said, he's not going to get the reps now because they're in win now mode. What about other quarterbacks that come out raw out of college and they get put in as a starter week 1 as a rookie? And you can say they need reps, but as a rookie, they're bad. And in their second season, they're bad. the truth is that no matter the age, no matter the year a quarterback gets drafted to a team to, whatever reps you have, if you are bad in those reps, the team moves off from you. Because in the NFL, like Riv said, you either have it or you don't. Some quarterbacks haven't had the luxury of developing like Trey Lance has had. And in practice, he's not impressing. And that is the major problem for me.
Shit, even Trevor Lawrence had a bad rookie year. Got a different coach. When the year 2 was amazing.
Like, was wasted.
You either got it or you don't. And Trey Lance, I'll be honest, like if he really had it, Kyle Shanahan would be like, I don't give a fuck that Brock Purdy went undefeated. If he really had it, you know what I'm saying? So it's like he in training camp, maybe he really just doesn't have it. That's okay. Like maybe he can go to Atlanta and Arthur Smith could work with him. Maybe he can go to Minnesota and Kirk Cousins can move off. Maybe he can go to Tampa Bay, even though Tampa Bay probably is worse. But maybe he needs those opportunities. But in San Francisco, you know, they trust in the last pick in the draft more than you. The locker room trusts in the last pick in the draft more than you. Why? Because they've seen on the field that he can make the simple reads.
But no matter where Trey Lance goes, and I think this is what people are missing, if he moves on, if he gets traded from the 49ers, no matter what team he goes to, the Vikings, the Falcons, etc., he is going to have about a 6 to 7 game lease to show what he can do. Yep. I mean, the Vikings aren't going to trade for Trey Lance and stash him for 3 years and then play him. They're going to see, can this guy play or can he not? And in training camp and in the first couple of weeks in the season, if he's not playing well, he's not playing well. I mean, how long is it going to take for people to look at Jordan Love starts in Green Bay and realize if he's good or if he's not good? It's going to be 5 to 6 weeks. If Jordan Love is not flat out impressive in 5 to 6 weeks, Green Bay will already be looking for the next quarterback.
And Ice Cube said it on our, when we had the interview, he said in the Big 3 league, you cannot hide. And that goes right to the NFL. You cannot hide in the NFL. You either got it or you can't. You can stash a guy like Jordan Love for some change because you have an elite quarterback in front of him. But if Trey Lance gets traded, you can't hide. Justin Fields, you saw when he started his first 6-7 games, you saw what he could potentially be, how much chance you were going to take. Like, all right, this guy's electric. We're going to take the swing. Trey Lance, he might not have 6-7 weeks. Same thing for Jordan Love. They might say in 4 or 5 weeks, what is he going to be? Because, he was sitting for so long. He was behind Aaron Rodgers. Trey Lance might get the same treatment. You got 4 or 5 weeks to show me what you can do. And that might be at the end of it all.
I do think you need more reps than that. But the point you guys make is true. You can't be dog shit in your 3rd season.
No.